Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with life coach Linda Armstrong, and this is your daily dose of happy. We're so happy you decided to join us today, and it's 2 days in a row I've gotten my new intro right because, Linda, I'm trying to remove that date stamp I used to have in there because it would get confusing running on different dates. The first couple of times I tried to change it, I had it written in front of me. I still messed it up, but I got it 2 days in a row now. So,
all right, cool.
This is how we establish a new habit, right? You know, we have to keep practicing until we get it right. So I'm practicing and I'm getting it right and I'm celebrating.
All right. Yay! Absolutely. Good job.
Yeah. So Rita is taking the day off. She'll be back next week, and she's going to be in the Pocono Mountains. I mean, that's a nice place to be. So even if it is raining around here, it's going to be a good place to be. So how have you been? I mean, are things going well in your neck of the woods there in downstate New York?
Yeah, things are going good here. My karate school's back open again, and new students are coming in, so that's nice.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, really good. Yeah. Yep. And we're celebrating the fact that our little buddy Joy is recovering nicely. He's sitting in my lap as we're doing this little adventure here. And it's been interesting since he has been on the mend. He's been spending a lot of time in our laps, and this is an outdoor cat. So this is like, you know, this is good stuff. This is a sharing of love is what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I have a feral cat that I was feeding who is now like, you wouldn't even know he was a feral cat. He's so friendly, at least with us.
Yeah.
He's still skittish a bit, you know, for other things, but it's amazing how much a little love makes a difference. You know, once you get to stroke them a little, and like, what the heck was that? Ooh, that felt good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy can't get enough of it, actually. I mean, when I stop petting him, he'll like stand up on my lap and rub up his head against me like, come on, keep going. You know, don't stop now.
Yeah.
So he knows how to lobby. That's good stuff. So
I love that about cats because they know what they want and they get it. They just get it. You know?
Yes. Yeah, they're very good at that too. Yeah. I think all domestic animals are good at it in their own different ways. Dogs are really good at it. But cats have their own unique way of doing it because they're such independent animals. You know, they're very independent. So I think that's one reason why I like it so much. When a cat goes out of his way to show affection to you, you know it's genuine. You know it isn't just his normal behavior. This is like him going out of his way because he's so independent. So, yeah, it just kind of reinforces it. So while we're going to miss having Rita around, that means that people who have sent in questions for Rita, we're going to kind of save those for next week, and that's all well and good. I did want to send out our own vibes to Josie, listener Josie. She had a question about her pet dog who just passed away, and so we're going to save that one for Rita next week. And Josie, I will make sure that it's a question that gets asked to Rita, but we just wanted to send along our condolences, and we're thinking about you because, you know, just like we're talking about, pets have such a big impact on our lives, and when they leave us, that also has an impact on our lives.
Yeah, but the thing to know is that they are totally fine. They pop in and out of a life, in and out of a body. You know, they're just here, and then they're not, and then they're here, and then they're not. Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised how that same soul spirit, animal spirit, will come in another animal. Mm-hmm. And you'll know it. You'll feel it. It's like, all right, I remember you. Yeah.
It's also interesting how my experience anyway, animals that I took care of when I was a kid, if I invoked their names to help, like when this guy was severely injured, pretty much comatose or near comatose, and we were afraid we were going to lose him, I invoked, you know, past pets. I said, please come help him out. And around the same time, I was also asking listeners and friends on Facebook and so forth, and lots of people responded. We're all very, very grateful for that. But I just had this special feeling every time that I've invoked them that they come. Their energies come and they do their magic. I don't know what they do, but they do their stuff. They basically have to provide that support that the animal needs.
You know, I have a client who actually has an alpaca farm, and she's very in tune with her animals. And she pretty much she has a farm, lots of animals. She never even needs a vet because she does all this homeopathic and natural stuff because she just tunes into the animals. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So this is like natural for her. She didn't even realize it was a gift. You know, I'm like, no, listen, you can help a lot of people with this gift.
True, yeah.
So she's now offering services. So if anybody's interested in that, they can maybe put in the comments that they'd like the information on that person. because I'm sure she can connect also to Josie's pet who passed.
Sure.
If she wants to get messages from her specifically, because she's
really,
really good with animal communication.
In fact, anyone who wants to follow up on what Linda was just saying, everybody who is a co-host here on the show is included on that question page, including Linda. So you could actually send a question directly to Linda that way too, and she could pass it along. So
yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Super easy that way.
It is easy. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And speaking of the app, I just uploaded first update that I've done in about a month because of some issues I was having, trying to resolve some issues. And we've got part of this issue resolved, which is why it's uploaded. People who have noticed that the app episode will stop playing if you start doing something else on your phone, on an iPhone. It's not been an issue on Android phones, but on iPhones. That issue is mostly fixed now. The one thing that I still have to kind of fix now, I didn't even realize it until after we uploaded the new version to Apple, is that not only does it keep playing in the background, but it'll actually freeze the app up and you can't stop it from playing. So I got to fix that part. But nevertheless, it's playing in the background. It wasn't doing that before, so that's an improvement. And I'll see if I can get this other one ironed out. I'm not quite sure what caused that one, but we'll figure it out.
All right. Cool.
And plus other people have also sent in other things that weren't quite working right, and we're going to work on those too, including when people go to the forum to fill out a question, the episode stops playing, and I got to figure out how to make that work the way it's supposed to, which is the episode still playing while you're filling out the form. So, little bugs that need to be ironed out, but it's all good. So
well, does it save where you were? Because while you're concentrating on what you're writing, you're not hearing what's being said anyway.
Well, I suppose it depends on who you are. I mean, I actually had a request from a listener who was saying, well, geez, I want the episode to be playing while I'm filling out the form. I don't want it to stop. So I guess it depends on who you are, really. You know, how do you listen to things?
Right.
So, but anyway, I don't have a specific topic in mind, but I figured we could just kind of talk about stuff related to energy, because obviously that's a big topic here on the Friday show. And I kind of vaguely, I don't want to get into any kind of specifics about stuff going on today, but right now, in the middle of October of 2020, it feels to me like a lot of big issues are kind of in a lull right now. And the reason I say that is I'm actually seeing more and more people posting stuff about the things that they're paying attention to that is lighter. It's it's almost like people are intuitively, without even knowing necessarily about law of attraction, source energy, anything like that, they're just kind of intuitively saying, you know, right now I just need to focus on something that makes me feel better, even if they had no knowledge of any of this stuff. And that's pretty cool. Because it's not like the major stuff has gone away. It's still there, you know. It's just that people are kind of thinking. So I just wanted to bring that up for like a thing to talk about.
Well, I picked a card.
Okay.
But tell me that again, because like there's a lot energetically going to be going on throughout the rest of this year, like big, huge stuff, revelations even. Mm-hmm. So, you know, like to me, that's exciting. Very exciting.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All I was observing is that in the midst of all the craziness, it's like there's a lull and people are finding reasons to focus more on stuff that they like rather than stuff they don't like. And that's exciting to me, just seeing that happen, even among people who don't really understand what we're talking about.
That's pretty much what 2020 is all about, right? It's the year of inner vision and finding out what do you, we've been talking about this for a long time. What do you really want? You know? Mm-hmm. So yeah. And you know what? All that stuff going on in the world, the craziness is a great time to say, well, hold on a second. What do I want? What feels right for me? You know? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you might even surprise yourself as to what feels right for you when you actually really connect within. So that's cool. And actually, maybe this card speaks to that because it says, we got the lavender card. It's number 44, good number.
Okay.
Connect to your body, mind, and soul.
And it has the lavender plant on the
Connect to your body, mind, and soul. And I'll give, let's do number 44.
Okay.
See if I can I have, Kyle Gray has a new numbers book. I used to use Doreen Virtue's number book, but, now I use Kyle Gray. Let's see if we can get to 44.
Okay.
One of these days I have to learn how to use this Kindle thing because it just never works for me.
Well, it's tricky, I have to admit. I mean, for those of us who grew up with, physical books that you hold in your hand, dealing with an electronic book, I know how to do it now. Most people do, but that doesn't make it comfortable. We're still comfortable with the old way of doing things.
Yeah, like sometimes I can get all the little things up, and the other times I can't. I'm like, what am I not doing here?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, 44, your guardian angel is wrapping you in a cloak of loving protection. You are safe. That's a great message for right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, lavender is a subtle color that sharpens your intuitive abilities, brings out your leadership qualities, and strengthens the connection between your body, mind, and spirit. Lavender also helps boost your immune system and assist you with the healing process. Connect to heaven and earth with lavender threads of light. So it says connection. To feel whole, you need to experience the connection between your body, mind, and soul. Imagine a lavender thread of light that links your body to your mind and your mind to your soul. Observe how this lavender thread connects your feet to the energy of the earth and your mind to the higher realms. Focus on the joy of being yourself, in touch with heaven while on earth. Yeah, that's perfect for right now. Because, we are here on the physical form. And sometimes some people want to get into all this spirituality and stuff, and they think they have to be in those energies. But really, you have to be really rooted and grounded on this earth in order to even expand into those energies. Like sure. the deeper you're grounded, the further you can go. So it's really, really important. So if anyone didn't know that, then this card might be helping you to maybe even think of that lavender thread, like connecting from the earth up through your body, through the mind, up into the spirit. Okay, it says focus on the joy of being yourself, in touch with heaven while on earth. Then it says, say, divine spirit, strengthen my connection to my own divinity and allow me to see the divinity in others. Thank you. So, seeing the divinity in others, especially when there's all this decisiveness going on out there, and, it's an unlimited universe. So there's so many different realities. And who's to say those opposite extremes don't actually exist at the same time? Because there's so many different realities and everything's a different timeline. And so, where was I going with that?
Well, you were actually touching something that was resonating with me in a fairly big way. We've talked in the past about Lynn McTaggart, the author of The Power of Eight, and the research that she's done to help people understand the power of groups of individuals working together. She posted something really interesting today, I think it was. The post, I don't remember exactly what it said, but the gist of the post was, today I'm thinking about people who disagree with me. And I thought that was really cool.
That's where I was going. It's like you have to be, and that brings you to being able to be in non-judgment and just being in love. Because, we're all love. Even the craziest of the crazies out there, at some point, were pure love. But maybe they got sidetracked, right? And the darker energy kind of took over. So if you can look at this without judgment, because that judgment is what builds that knot in your belly and takes you down that dwindling spiral of negativity. Yes. So it's like, all right, if you can just allow others to be, even if it's really frustrating, and sometimes it is really frustrating.
It is. Yes.
You just, if you can find that peace within yourself look, you have an opinion. And you want people to allow you to have your opinion, so why can't we allow others to have theirs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The hardest part is when you know that other opinion or something might be physically harming someone, or, and you're thinking into a criminal's mind or something like that. It's really hard to hold that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if there is this one source of pure love, and there is a purpose for all things, as hard as it is to wrap your mind about that, if you can get out of judgment and just be somewhat allowing of it. Because really, when you feed the judgment to it, you're feeding that energy, a negative energy, to it, which fuels it even more. But when you can go into that heart space, that could be the way that you help to dissolve those things that just seem so horrendous, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, I think an important distinction is to distinguish between liking something and allowing something. You don't have to like it in order to allow it. You can allow something you don't like, And it does take extra effort, extra focus, extra willingness to allow, extra respect for opinions and thoughts and ideas that are different from what you have in mind. So it's not like you have to like it, but it is useful to allow it, not just to the person or the idea that you're allowing, but to yourself. Because, like you said, that's what David Stricko calls the zoom back. Daniel Mangena calls it the zoom back. I don't remember what phrase you used, but it was very similar to that. You kind of take a step back, and that step back gives you that perspective that makes it easier to kind of take the sting away from whatever that thing is you don't like so much. And so in the process of taking that step back, you didn't have to actually say, I like this thing I don't like, but now it doesn't have nearly as much impact. Now it doesn't affect you in a way that just tears you down and brings you into that negative vortex. And that's huge.
And there are some of those things that actually through that, what we determined to be really awful, horrendous thing, pulls together so much more of, say, the love or the compassion, right? Because this focus comes on this really dark thing, and then all the love comes up and the compassion for whatever it is that has affected, right? So it actually is bringing that energy up in a big way, which then if we can just not judge it, can allow the energy to transfer even better, not to feed that negative thing more negativity because it wants to, it wants to gobble. It's like, yeah, it wants that.
Mm-hmm.
You give it the opposite, and what happens? It has to start to shrink.
That's right. Exactly. That's a nice way to describe it too.
Or it's a good theory anyway. Let's we don't.
Well, no, I think it's more than a good theory. I think that's actually the way it works.
Yeah.
I think your description was perfect. Literally, the way it feels is exactly what you just described. It feels like the whole thing just kind of shrinks away. It's almost like it's melting. It's the Wicked Witch from the West. She's melting.
Yeah,
She's melting.
It's almost like the little kid having the tantrum in the middle of the store. If you ever watch and the mother starts trying to do all these things to stop it, it just makes it bigger.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I know my son did that once. Only once. Because it didn't get anywhere.
Because there was
I was all right, when you're done, I'm going to be over here. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm holding on the line and he's like squirming all over. I'm like, listen, we're going to pay for this. We're going to go out. And I just kept doing what I'm doing. I didn't feed anything.
Right.
I didn't let my body get all in tight and because what do those people think? What are those people, like all that stuff? I better be quiet. No, I let him be his misery until he got it out and it was over. I didn't feed it. And it was over like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Reminds me of a situation with my niece, Michaela, who just became a mom herself. She gave birth to a little girl about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But when she was quite young, say around, let's see, how old was she? She was probably about 5 or 6, something like that. We were living in Virginia, and at the time, it was our first time having her over to visit. She also grew up in Virginia, and she currently lives in Virginia, on the other part of the state. And she had this, I don't know exactly what was going on, but she had something going on the day that she came over to visit. And whatever it was, it erupted within the first minute or two of her being there. She basically started to throw a little fit in the middle of our living room. And I'm sitting at one end of the room, and my wife's over in the side. There's like the dining room connected to it. She's over there. And we're both looking at her, throwing this fit, trying to get our attention for something. To this day, we really don't know what it was. I think if I asked Michaela, she wouldn't know what it was. But she was trying to get our attention. And it was almost like she paused in the middle just to see, are we watching?
Right.
And she paused and looked at me. So I looked at Louise and I said, is this working for you? And Louise shook her head and said, no. Is it working for you? And I said, no, not really. And we both turned to her and said, sorry. And that was it. It was all over. We get like the same thing as you did. We gave it no energy.
Yeah.
We made it clear to her this just wasn't going to connect.
Right. So it's a really good example because a lot of people have an experience like that. And those moms or whoever, caretakers that get stuck in that negativity and, and then they're yelling at them and you can see how it gets worse.
Oh yeah.
Definitely people around you can see how it gets worse,
it's a great example of how the law of attraction works, even when we don't want it to.
Well, it always works, right? That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun to look at the parts where it's working to our benefit. The parts that are annoying is when it also works to our detriment because it works all the time. It's quite irritating when oh, geez, I didn't want it to work that way. I just wanted it to work the way I wanted it to work.
Right. And that's like the biggest learning thing, I think, for most people with law of attraction is that when they keep looking at the lack of what they asked for, that it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet. What did I get? It's not here
Not
yet.
here yet.
I proved that one big time in my early on. I learned that lesson.
Oh, I pay that one often. That one comes up more often than I'd like to admit. And usually my response is, oh, geez, I tripped myself again. How did I do it?
I did pick another card, and now I got the death card.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a card that would often send a chill down our spines, although.
Well, it usually talks about a new beginning, basically.
Yeah.
But let's see what this deck says.
A bit differently, but yeah.
I don't remember how this deck treats that. So it says, this marker portends a time of transformation, a total change of attitude, the death of the old. Regardless of how death presents itself, it is a necessary aspect of all things. Always remember the phoenix that rises up of its own ashes to soar in the wind, renewed, filled with life. Mm. Death is the winter of things, part of the life cycle. When you receive this marker, you are reminded that all things have their season. Take courage in surrendering to death. In time, you will be blessed with an extraordinary life. Rejoice, for that which dies fertilizes and fortifies the new. Endings always point to a fresh beginning. All right, so.
And I consider that card to be relevant for a couple of reasons. One, because of Josie's situation, losing her beloved pet dog, and also because it's a reminder to me about a story I've told many times here on the podcast, so I won't go into the details of it again. But the gist of it is what happens when we're grieving a loss. And when we're grieving a loss, what's happening is we have forgotten about love. We have forgotten to connect to the thing that keeps us going.
You were frozen for me a few times. I don't know if it's on my end or your end.
Okay.
Let me just check. I'm just going to check my internet.
I'm not seeing anything here, but.
All right, so you keep chatting about what you're chatting about. I want to just check my stuff here.
Okay. Well, what I was saying is that the tendency we all have is to disconnect from love when we're feeling grief. And it's very common. It's very normal. It happens to everybody. And the trick to getting through grief, I've learned, and the story I've told in the past to kind of illustrate this is one that involved my wife, but the trick is literally just to find ways to reconnect to the love. The most direct way I know to do that is if you've lost a loved one, just to start remembering what are the things you loved about the loved one and know that that's still true. And if you can do that, sometimes you need a little help, from somebody else who knew your loved one. But if you can do that, first of all, you get through the grieving process a lot quicker and it's a lot less painful. And second of all, you feel better fast. And so that's why I like to emphasize anytime that we're dealing with grief associated with death, it's all about reconnecting with love as soon as possible.
Yeah. Everything's about connecting with love.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Fear. You're in fear. What's the opposite? What's the opposite of fear? They can't be together. One's going to win over the other one, right?
True. Yeah.
So what do you choose to be connected to? Mm-hmm. And then you find any way you can to bring yourself back to that other energy.
Yeah. So
what you're saying right now about loved ones, you just think about them or you ask for them to show you signs. They will come.
Mm-hmm.
My sister passed this month 3 years ago. And I don't remember my dreams much at all. Like I know I'm actively dreaming and I wake up and I'm like, what was I doing? It was so intense. What was it? Anyway, this month I've had a few where I recall my dream with my sister.
Oh, nice.
So she's been coming to me in my dreams this month.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. I love dreams where a close loved one comes to me. The one that I've had most often, or ones I've had most often involved my father. And one came within a month and a half after his passing. So it was particularly useful then. But, I love them. Yeah. Something about them those dreams are more real. I don't know exactly why. Maybe just because they're loved so much, but
well, because their spirit is there, literally there with you. I mean, when you go to sleep, you leave your body. You're in the outer dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
We're better to connect with someone who's no longer in the body. You know?
I suppose so. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
They can be really, really, really vivid. Like my son has had a few about my sister. She goes, I swear it was like she was right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah.
Well, Dean McMurray, who was on the show with us last week, told the story. I don't remember if he told it last Friday or he came in and did a substitute thing on Wednesday because Cindy couldn't make Wednesday's show. So we had more of a conversation. So I'm not sure which show this was in, but in one of them, he was talking about how when he first experienced his psychic mediumship gift kicking in, it was someone, I believe it was a loved one, who came to him in his bedroom, I think it was.
His grandmother.
His grandmother, that's right. His grandmother came.
Yeah.
So what's last Friday they told that one? Yeah. And how vivid it was. It was just, it was like she was right there. This wasn't like semi-dream state. It wasn't like she was right there. Just right there, you know? That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Oh, by the way, he also did this really cool thing on Wednesday. This one I do know is on Wednesday. Cause I was asking him about, how to develop your psychic ability. He was like every psychic I've ever known has said, everybody is psychic. It's just about learning to do it. And so he walked us through an exercise that he does and that was taught to him for developing psychic ability. He calls it at the mall. And essentially you basically imagine yourself being at the mall and you're taking all the sights, sounds, touches, tastes, you're involving all the five senses. And then you go into a store like a Macy's or something and you take some clothes off the rack and you go into the changing room, put them on, look in the mirror. And then who do you see? Not necessarily yourself, but who are you seeing there? So basically, getting involved in focusing on your imaginings as you're visualizing stuff. And I thought it was a pretty cool little technique.
I guess maybe it's really, really helpful because it gets people out of trying and now they're just seeing themselves at the mall and they're seeing themselves walking into the store. Like, 'cause that's easier to see, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then you put the clothes on and it's like, who do you see? Okay, now something else kicks in.
Right.
Yeah. And then you're like, what? What was that? How did that happen?
Yeah, at one point during the middle of it, he says, yeah, it doesn't matter whether you go to the men's section or the women's section. I'm thinking, okay, what are we doing? Transvestite stuff? What's going on here? But then I realized that when he got toward the dressing room, what he was really aiming at was who's the character that you see. Because literally, I mean, I'm a very tall man, you know that. So if I'm thinking about going into Macy's, I'm thinking anything, even on the men's side, that I pick up off the rack isn't going to fit me anyway. My arms and my legs are going to be sticking way out. So I'm going to look kind of gawky no matter what I put on from the rack. It's just,
except this is in your imagination. So in this Macy's, they carry extra tall.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I could do that. That's true. That's true because I'm imagining it. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Good point. In your own experience, I mean, we kind of pitch Rita as the psychic on the show, but you've demonstrated you have quite a bit of psychic ability too. When you're intuiting, how much of that is an imaginative process for you?
Like when I give healing sessions, that's when it's most tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
And it just flows. Like it's just there for me when I'm in that situation. And it's like the words just keep coming out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I don't do anything particular. I just am present there with the person I'm working with. And I just know that team is there. I have that support there, like my wings behind me, right?
Right.
And then things just pop in my head. They just pop in. And so then I just do clearings based on what's popping in. And sometimes it really kind of surprises me. In the beginning, when this was starting to happen for me, I sometimes wouldn't want to say what was coming in. Right? Because I'm thinking, my mind kicks in and says, no, that can't.
That sounds crazy.
They're going to think all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know better because you've been taught to just go with it and trust it. But it takes a while to really trust it. And you just say it, and then that person is like lights up, and it brings for them an experience.
Right.
Even if it wasn't exactly what the words were that were given to you, but it opens the door for that person to bring this thing up. So then we can look at it and clear it. But I have to say, I did second guess myself. Now I don't. I'm like, okay, whatever comes in, comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear a lot of psychics saying it, and I know why. This is why. And they're like, well, can you take that? Can you hold that? How does that ring true for you? How do you feel with that? What does that bring up for you? Because the information's coming, and then you want to allow them. It's like I witnessed my own family in a psychic medium reading, and the psychic is saying so many things. A couple of cousins and my aunt were there, and their dad, her husband, passed like recently to when we had the psychic come over.
Uh-huh.
The psychic must have said, if she said 13 things, 12 things were spot on and one thing was off.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Right? Yeah. So the one thing that was off was that I see your dad wearing a buttoned up white shirt. Now, their dad would never have worn a buttoned up white shirt unless he's going to a funeral. So they didn't they couldn't take it. They're like, that's not my dad.
Uh-huh.
And my mom was there too, her brother. I'm like, they can't see this as Uncle Ralph. And I didn't want to put anything into them. I want them to find it for themselves. But they weren't finding it. I'm like, oh my God, it's your father. And they're like, huh? He doesn't wear a white shirt. I'm like, what about this? Oh.
Mm.
Oh. And then the psychic's like, well, this is how he's appearing to me. But you take what resonates with you and what doesn't. You're like, how does it feel like this could be your dad? And then like, well, that part and that part. And the fun thing is that she told them a bunch of things that the next couple of days were unfolding. Oh, and they would call me up and say, oh my God, that was my dad. Because this happened. Remember she said this? I'm like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. So.
Yeah, that's
fun.
Was the question? Too.
Yeah, so the question was about me. Yeah, so it's like, you got to go with what you have. And the people either take it or they don't. And then sometimes, just like what happened with my cousin, they get it like a couple of days later.
Right.
I told you I've had that with card readings, right? This one woman kept getting the same card. She's like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm like, all right. Third time, nothing to do with me. Comes back the next week. I know I'm not going to get that card today because I know what it means now. I'm like, okay. It was totally right, but I couldn't see it. I'm like, all right, cool. But it still spoke to her, right? And it took a while for her to feel it within herself what the truth was of that.
I think it's wild that the same card kept coming back. I mean, that was very, very determined spirit passing that card along. Like, you're going to look at this card and you're going to get it.
Yeah, and what was fun is it was a group of the same people coming back every week. So everybody knew everybody's stuff that was unfolding.
Yeah. Is that better, do you think, doing it in groups rather than individually?
There's no better.
Okay.
There's no better.
Okay.
Sometimes it's fun for the group when they all know each other, and sometimes, like that whole thing with the, the Lynn McTaggart stuff, it does really strengthen the energy and bring more in, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Mm.
Some people prefer groups. Some people prefer one-on-one. It's all your own preference and what feels more right and true for you.
And we all know the importance of preference. That's like that's the thing. You have to know what you want. If you're going to have any chance of getting it, you got to know what it is. You can't just kind of get it by default because you'll be waiting a long time for that one. You got to know what you want.
And just be open and that always changes. So the more you expand, the more you're willing to allow more in. So maybe some people are afraid of the one-on-one, so they feel more comfortable in a group, especially when it's something psychically that we're doing. And then they want to go more to the one-on-one. Okay, I get how this works now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe some feel embarrassed and they only want to, but then they decide to try a group and then they like the group support that comes with all of that. Because if anything's happening for one person, it's happening for all of them. Because a group does not come together accidentally. Even strangers who come together in a group, they will always have similar things or they would not be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the matrix, right? The outer is a reflection of the inner. Mm-hmm. They work together. As above, so below. It all works together.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
that's what makes it fun.
Also, it reminds me of the first card you drew, the lavender card, which was talking about safety. And that person who's kind of sitting to the side, that's a safety position. They're not feeling comfortable with this thing yet. They want to hear what it is. just open enough to maybe say, well, if there is something here, I'm willing to recognize it. But I think I'll just kind of sit in the back because I'm not real comfortable with this thing yet.
Well, and there's no right or wrong. It's all your own experience. How does it work for you?
Mm-hmm.
No one can tell you anything. You are your own authority. You can listen to these other things and you kind of feel what resonates, what feels true. Because always, the truth will make you feel lighter. Anything that isn't true makes you feel heavy. So let's see. I picked another card.
Okay.
Foundations and achievements.
Foundation and achievements. Okay.
Okay. And it's a violet card. So this is spirit. It's the higher realms here. So it says, this card confirms that what you've been building is now firmly established with a strong and solid foundation. Ooh, maybe that's LOA today.
Well, it could be, yeah.
You deserve this, and it's time for you to harvest the rewards for your efforts. What you sowed, you can now reap. Be open to receive as you've worked hard and have given so much. Now, it could also be people working towards really opening up spiritually.
Sure.
Allow the universe to give a little back to you, for there has to be an even exchange of giving and receiving in order to prime the pump of gratitude and reinforce the law of attraction. Using the more traditional meaning in tarot, this card represents a period for celebration, peace, and prosperity. It may also imply a marriage or the buying of land or a new home. As you enjoy this time of relaxation that you so deserve, know that nothing remains stagnant and the winds of change are always at your door. Because it's saying now you can kind of rest and reap your rewards from all the hard work you've done. It's kind of like the stillness in between different things, and that's where the magic is.
It's like the lull It's the lull I was talking about at the beginning of the show. There's like this lull going on right now. That's the lull. Yeah.
The silent, still space. Yeah.
By the way, Nasha and Jeffrey have been posting in the live stream, and Nasha was echoing what you were saying, Linda. We leave our body and we meet the people we are in our dreams with. And Jeffrey, in response to what you were just saying here, absolutely, what this lull that we're talking about is definitely happening. So our live streamers are right in touch with what we're talking about here, which is a very good thing. You mentioned also the color of the card. Earlier, the lavender card was also a violet tone. You're wearing a violet tone top. Is there like a violet theme going on here?
There must be.
It sounds like there is. I mean, I'm almost out of
look, if we're getting into that silent, still place, that's a place in the higher realms.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
That's going deep within and becoming more of your true nature, which more of you is in the outer realms than is within your physical body.
Well, plus also isn't purple or violet associated with heart?
Crown chakra.
Oh, crown chakra. Oh, I got it.
Crown and or third eye, because people see the third eye as either an indigo blue or a violet.
Oh, okay.
And then the crown could be like a violet or a white, right?
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Making some notes for my hashtags today.
I'll pick another card. Let's see what we do with this other card.
Okay. Yeah.
Now we're going to the enchanted map. Yeah, because the cards give us stuff to talk about. It's tapping into the energies that be.
The enchanted map. That's what the name of the card deck, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, that's the name of the card deck.
The card deck.
The enchanted map.
Oh,
Let Baron read.
Okay.
Yeah. And these cards have, upright and reverse meanings.
So just depending on which orientation they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people, they think that the revert, when you get a card reversed, that it's bad, but sometimes it's it's even better than the upright.
Jeffrey tied together the lavender thing. He says, crown and royalty. So you were talking about the crown of the head where the lavender is associated, and there's a royalty connection. Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. We have deep freeze.
Deep freeze. Okay. What is that?
The lion.
Oh, it's a lion.
The lion. Looks like he's, frozen.
Yeah. Kind of like on an iceberg or something.
He's covered in a layer of ice.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what that is. Number 26.
I wonder if this also ties into that concept of the Lola we were talking about.
Let's see. This is upright. So it says everything has its season. So we had that before too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the winter. What card was that? I don't remember now. Anyway, now's the time to put activity on hold while you rest.
Yeah. Same theme. Yep.
The cold winter beckons you to slow down and put a freeze on things that are not ready to bloom. It's time for regeneration and hibernation. Forgo ambitious activity. A pregnant pause allows ideas to gestate. This is like the last card. Projects to shift and change, and relationships to go through the dreamy state of being, not going anywhere and not needing to.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a time to put all of your arguments on ice.
Yes.
Ooh. Nothing beneficial will come from any of them. Self-care is the most important activity now. So reflect, read a good book, get a massage, rest, and dream.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating too how all these things tie together when we do cards on a Friday, because I start off talking about the lull and how people are just kind of finding that happier place on their own without even understanding how all this stuff works. And here are all the cards reinforcing that theme. It's just
look, and I looked at my phone.
444.
And it's 444.
There you go.
Woo!
All right.
So let me tell you then what 444 means. Because we had 44 before, right? And it was Guardian Angel is wrapping you in a cloak of loving protection, because it's still on my phone. So now I'll go for the 444.
So we're fours are wild right now.
I'm getting better at this deck here. Okay. Finding it. Oh, okay. I got to go. Whole bunch of numbers.
Fortunately.
Okay. I like this because he has these simple sentences for each number. Okay. So it says, you are surrounded by 100,000 angels. Ooh. Miracles are happening before your eyes.
Ooh.
All right. We got the angels. Look, we got the angels. They're here.
Okay. Wow.
They're always here. They're always here. And you know what? Really, if you listen to a lot of the different channelers going on, there's a lot of this type of really high vibrational energy coming to the planet. Many, many, many angels and guides, especially while we're going through all this difficulty. It's there.
What do you think is behind them all deciding to be here now? What is there like a plan with that?
It's the whole ascension. You know, it's more light coming to the planet. What does it do? It brings up all the mucky, heavy, dense, what do you want to call it? Evil, all these energies coming up to be seen. Mm-hmm. It's coming out. It's being seen. The light is bringing it up. So when there's so much light coming, it's the whole thing with fear and love. They can't exist together. So when so much light is coming to the planet, it's unraveling all these old systems. They're falling apart. Things are changing rapidly. Your body is changing rapidly. So you might feel all sorts of weird, like today I had this kind of headache. I never get headaches, like a dull kind of headache, almost like I'm I can't even describe it, but I don't feel it right now, but I had it today. I'm like, all right, it's just more of the same. Just let it be. It'll pass through, right? Mm-hmm. It's just bringing up stuff. So whatever might be attached to that sort of like a resistance I was feeling through this kind of a headache, it's being released, right? And the next day you're like, okay. I mean,
it's almost like go ahead.
I have this post on my website. I put it up there a long time ago. It's 51 symptoms of spiritual awakening. I'm getting like 500 people a day coming to that post on my website.
Really? Wow.
Because really people are awakening in droves and they don't understand these weird things happening in their body and all that. And this article tells you like all kinds of things that are coming up, and it has a little thing about what you can do. I didn't write the article. I shared the article by someone who wrote it and said anybody can share this whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And it's just helping a lot of people to know that they're not going crazy, that they're rapidly shifting and awakening to more of, that's the whole thing about going in. That's the 2020 vision of seeing what's what through a whole different lens. And maybe that's your whole life. You know, people are switching to, well, look, now people are learning different ways of doing their business. They're leaving one business for another. They're deciding no longer to be a slave to their life, but to enjoy their life. It's a huge, huge, huge awakening.
It's interesting that you mentioned that particular thing about that change in business or change in jobs and so forth, because I also have been seeing a lot of people referring to that. Some people being confused because I saw one post by somebody on Facebook who was recognizing that he needed to make some changes in his work life. He felt himself going in different directions, but then he got kind of caught by surprise when he got fired from his current job, the one that he didn't like, you know.
Thank you, Spirit.
Yeah, but and that's what he was kind of wondering. Like, is this like maybe getting the push in the direction that I needed to go in? Is that what it was? You know,
that would be a big fat yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not used to it, that can be jarring. That can be quite disorienting.
No, the change doesn't always feel good. It's not until 5 years later when we look back at it and we're like, oh man, that was the best thing ever happened.
Best move, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then, you know, with relationship, all kinds of things. And there you go. It's the old third dynamic stuff unraveling and breaking apart as we move into this other space. And part of this whole other space is bringing back our natural gifts and talents, which are a lot more psychic ability, telepathy, like really reading. How many things do you know? And you're like, how did I know that? Notice how many times that happens to you. Or you think of someone, the phone rings and they're there. Like more of those things are happening. You think of someone you haven't thought about in a long time. Next thing you know, you get something, an email or something from that person. It's like you're able to tap into the field more and you're sensing stuff that hasn't yet come.
Oh yeah.
The energy is there and it's coming together.
Louise and I experienced that. Now, of course, she's my spouse. So, you know, we have a very tight connection. And for the longest time, we have noted over and over and over again, I'll be thinking one thing and she'll be thinking the exact same thing. Now, sometimes it's in the context of a common conversation, so that makes sense. But sometimes it's out of the blue, too. That pattern has really been happening a lot lately. Like just in the past week alone, I don't know, a dozen times where it came to our attention that we were both focused on the same thing and not always out of a conversation that we were just having. It's just like, wait a minute, you're thinking about that? That's exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah.
And it's going to get stronger and stronger, and that's
going to keep going. Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't always feel good.
No.
It doesn't always feel good. You know, I had some weird things happen. I went to the emergency room just not to be stupid about it. I knew it was just part of this awakening stuff, right? But you don't want to be stupid, right? So you go, you get checked out. They can't figure out, there's no reason for this. Like, you're okay? I'm like, yeah, okay, good. Thank you. I knew that, but I couldn't tell you because you put me in a straitjacket.
Yeah, right.
Like my son knew what I was going through and what I was thinking. My husband, I'm like, well, let me just go get this checked out, you know? And like I had to bite my lip from telling these doctors what my self-diagnosis was.
Right.
But you know, and you just want to play it safe.
Well, plus there have been times where, Louise, of course, was dealing and still has to deal with, to a certain extent, this thyroid issue. And there have been one or two occasions where we've been talking with her endocrinologist, and we'll throw something out there about focusing on positivity or focusing on good feeling diet and so forth. And that look just comes into his eye. You're like, oh, okay, we got a crazy pair here.
Yeah, but you know what? There are a lot of medical people opening up to this too now.
That's true. Yeah.
It has to, because it's just, because more light's coming to the planet, and so more of this is becoming more commonplace. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you were talking a moment ago about how stuff, I don't remember how you were phrasing it, but I'm going to say it as stuff comes and people come into a group or whatever because they are supposed to be there. And I really think that is actually the case with her doctor, with her endocrinologist, because he's very old school in his approach to medicine. And he's made it very clear that, in his opinion, Louise's thyroid is not only never going to go away as an issue, but it's always going to be a big issue. And ever since he's made that pronouncement, he's kept shrinking the dosage because the dosage has always been too high. And we're approaching the point where it's going to be going away entirely, I think. That's what Louise thinks too. So assuming that it plays out that way, he's going to have to be faced with the fact that he was absolutely convinced that she was going to be locked into this for the rest of her life, and now all of a sudden she's cured. And in his own words, the odds against that were astronomical.
Right. So she's just teaching him something.
Exactly. You know? Yeah, the experience is teaching him something.
Yeah. And maybe that's the purpose for the whole thing.
It could be. Although, if that is the purpose, I'm going to ask them to pick somebody else next time.
Yeah, but then you got to look at it like, okay, well, I guess I'm strong enough to do that.
Yeah, that's true. And the good news is we're coming out the other side and everything's improving. And it has improved substantially since, the whole thing started a couple of years ago. So, yeah. Well, by the way, Jeffrey, when we were talking about angels, posted something else. It says, don't forget to feed and water and make offerings to the ancestors and angels. Thank them for all their hard work and help, with a little heart sign. Gratitude and appreciation is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see if we can tie this back a little bit more to the way we started off. We started off talking about how people are, I would say, without being aware of what they're doing as a group, they are shifting their attention more to what feels good. And you brought in a few moments ago the idea, I asked the question, okay, why are all these angels coming in at this point? You said, well, there's all this dark stuff that's coming up, and this is kind of being dissipated by the light of the angels. So let's kind of combine those two things together and say, okay, well, the year 2020, it's a year of clarity, a year of seeing more clearly what's real, what's going on, what's true. Are we, now that we're in the 10th month of the year, are we starting to see culminations of this? Is this going to be something that we're going to see like a grand finale in 2020? I mean, obviously, the show doesn't stop, it keeps going.
No, it's going to continue for a while. And there's lots of different theories on, all kinds of stuff, which I'm not really going to get into right now with, solar flares and like making this huge leap into the next dimension and all this kind of stuff, which could go on for the next couple of years. But they're saying, a lot of these channelers, is that you'll start seeing, even though there's going to be still crazy stuff going on, you'll start seeing and feeling for yourself a shift into a good direction in 2021.
And that's going to be a very common phenomena. Lots and lots of people are going to experience that. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, look, lots and lots of people right now are experiencing this 2020 going within, but they may not know that. They may not look at it the same way I'm explaining it.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But still, they're going through these changes and maybe losing jobs. And then they might think luck or chance, they wound up in this better job, like not thinking that they have any control over it and that they created it, because they're not really thinking of the energetic side of it. But doesn't mean they're still not experiencing the benefit of it.
That's true. And it's also kind of adding up to the pile of incidents of when they are able to hear for the first time or to be presented for the first time with the idea of how this stuff works, law of attraction, source energy, all that kind of thing. They'll have so much of it piled up so recently that that's where the resonance comes from. It kind of stops you like, wow, that really sounds familiar. I know that's what happened with me. The first time I heard some of these ideas, the resonance was really strong in me. I'm saying, why is this resonating so much? I mean, maybe because it's positive and so forth, but then I realized it was more than that. It was like all this evidence had piled up. I hadn't made the connections on it. Now the connections were being made, and I was saying, whoa, this has been going on for some time in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then you kind of wake up to it.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess that's why they call it awakening, right?
Yeah, more awareness.
Yeah.
All right, so we get, beautiful, 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel.
Okay.
That's the heart chakra.
Okay. The heart chakra, all right.
Yep. That's the love chakra.
The love chakra.
Number 39. Oh, I got to 40. Okay. Self-expression and speaking your truth. Gabriel holds his trumpet in one hand and a beautiful orb of blue light in the other.
Yep, okay. You can see that in the picture.
Okay. He's sending powerful energy to your throat center, acknowledging your power to communicate, your readiness to do so. This angel opens, what are we doing? Oh, okay. Yeah. This angel opens up your truthful expression, both with yourself and with others. You may have had trouble with expressing emotions and ideas in the past, but Gabriel, I was confusing with Raphael just now. Raphael is the heart chakra. Anyway, okay. But Gabriel is here to tell you that your soul longs to take this leap now. Be aware that true communication includes how you speak to yourself. So never deny your profound integral value. Speak up for yourself. Write in your journal. Let your words flow. Now's the time. This is throat chakra, right? Now's the time to express yourself freely and fully, and the universe always honors your choice to do so. This card could also indicate a communication project that's coming, or a time of heightened communication with spirit and telepathy with others. Okay, that's directly to the first card.
Absolutely.
Right? A time of heightened communication with spirit and telepathy with others. Okay, and this is what we've been talking about this whole time, right? And people are coming more into their truth now, and they're going to be expressing that in many different ways.
Yeah, and how interesting that the word telepathy came up at both the beginning and the end through these cards. I mean, there's clear signal going on there. Increasing telepathic ability for everybody.
And that 2020 vision, it's like seeing more clearly what is really your truth and then expressing it.
Yeah, the expression part, that one caught my attention too when you were reading that, because I think all of us are learning to express more, and it also had special meaning for me, because of the podcast, because we're doing a lot of expressing here on the podcast. And that just kind of reinforced, like, I feel like it said I'm on the right track just by hearing those words.
Yeah. Well, and some people have squashed their truth or what they really want to do and present themselves in life, right? That's those people who now, like you were speaking about before, got fired and now got this other job. Is this what's happening here?
Right.
This is one I would love to do more. Well, what happened here? Now you're getting to express your truth in another way.
Yeah, that's true. That's very good. All right, good. Well, then this has been good. So next week we have Harold Peck coming.
Yeah.
Chief Harold Peck is going to be here after his 500-mile walk across Colorado. Boy, is he tired. But he's energized, too, according to the post that he left. So he's been taking a little bit of a breather since he got back, but he's going to be joining us to talk about that whole experience. That's going to be good.
I believe it was quite life-changing for him.
Yes, it sounds like it was.
It'd be great to hear more of the details of that.
And that's exactly what we're going to find out. So, yeah, make sure you tune in to next Friday's episode. And be sure to, if you are not using the LOA Today app, start using it. And be sure to tell a friend about it so that they can be using it. And be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Linda, of her own free will, just took some time last week to tie all our videos together on YouTube. So now you can actually just play in a stream, binge listening and binge watching LOA Today on YouTube. So I just wanted to thank you publicly for doing that. That was a great thing.
You're welcome. Yeah, I just figured it'd be good to have a playlist for each of the days, because some people might just want to listen to a bunch of a particular host or co-host.
Yep.
And so then you can do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So thank you for doing
Instead
that.
of trying to look through the feed, like all those videos.
Oh, yeah.
I only did all of 2020, and there's much more prior to that. But
No, that's all right. That'll keep people busy.
Yeah. It's a good flavor sampling, of everybody.
I mean, you figure we're probably about, 40, 45 weeks into 2020. So that means for each one of those days, it's 40 to 45 episodes. That'll probably keep most people busy, I would think, just by that alone. So, good stuff. Thanks for doing that. So thank you. Thank you, live streamers. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.